Welcome guys, I'm the Asian Aviator, you can call me Tom, and I'm looking to become a commercial airline pilot. So in this video, we're going to be talking about aviation news that's happened in 2021 so far. So in this video, we're going to be talking about British Airways, flight Sierra Juliet 182, the Boeing 737 MAX, and of course, the very recent United 238 flight to Hawaii. So let's start with British Airways. So a couple weeks ago, there was a few articles released on the airline wanting to power the majority of its flights, if not all, by ethanol by 2022. If ethanol is successful, carbon emissions will be cut by about 70%, which is of course good. That's equivalent to 27,000 cars being taken off the road. So if ethanol can produce the same properties as standard kerosene, then you can see why big companies such as British Airways are investing into ethanol fuel. So why ethanol? Ethanol can be produced by non-edible agricultural residues such as wheat and straw, even sugar canes, and apparently recycled pollution. Since it can be produced by reusable goods, it can be considered as a renewable fuel and therefore sustainable. And sustainable is always good. So British Airways have partnered with a US company in Georgia called LanzaJet to produce commercial scale volumes of sustainable aviation fuel. However, it's heavily dependent on governments backing decarbonisation. And with Joe Biden as the new president, there is hope that this can go ahead. Sticking with the idea of a renewable fuel, KLM have already tried 500 litres of a synthetic kerosene created by Royal Dutch Shell. In fact, KLM have already put 500 litres of this synthetic fuel onto a short-haul flight. Normal short-haul flights carry about 28,000 litres of fuel. So therefore, if you do the maths, that equates to 1.78% of the flight. So mid-flight, they decided to use this fuel and it worked. They managed to power 5% of the flight using this fuel, so therefore proved it works. I believe in about 5 to 10 years, we'll see more and more commercial airline companies making the transition from kerosene to sustainable fuels, such as ethanol or synthetic kerosene, or maybe even hydrogen. So next, let's talk about flight Sierra Juliet 182. If you don't know, that is the flight that took off from Jakarta, Indonesia, and crashed 5 minutes later into the ocean. Till this day, still no one really understands what happened to that flight because only the flight data box has been recovered. So an initial investigation into these flight recorders has shown that when the aircraft reached an altitude of about 8,150 feet, the thrust of the left engine was reduced whilst the right engine remained the same, until about 10,600 feet, where the aeroplane rolled to the left and basically done a split S maneuver. If you don't know what a split S maneuver, here is a video. So in Sierra Juliet 182's case, instead of pulling up after the split S maneuver, it tragically nose bombed from 10,000 feet into the ocean. Sadly, the divers have still not found the cockpit flight recorder, so we will not truly know what happened until this is found. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the Boeing 737 MAX 8. This type of aircraft has been grounded for 617 days. But only until recently the CAA and the EASA have given it the green lights to fly again. But why was it grounded in the first place? It's to do with the Maneuvering Characteristic Augmentation System, MCAS, which ultimately caused the first fatal crash of Lion Air Flight 62 in Indonesia, and on March 2010 another fatal crash of Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302, which crashed due to pitch correction and ultimately led to 157 people dying. So we know the crashes was caused by the MCAS system, but what does the MCAS system actually do on the Boeing 737 MAX? Boeing, to compete with Airbus, Boeing enlarged their engines on the Boeing 737 MAX and lifted it up relative to the old position. But a side effect of that was that when it was under full throttle, the pitch of the aircraft was too high. So as a result, this MCAS system was installed to automatically lower the pitch angle. Obviously, there was a problem with the MCAS system, and on some flights, such as the Ethiopian flight and the Lion Air flight, it caused the aircraft to nose bomb to the ground. Despite all the bad news on the Boeing 737 MAX, For airlines, it could actually be a good potential buy for them. For example, Ryanair have already ordered 210 Boeing 737 Maxes. It wouldn't be the first time Ryanair have done this. For example, post 9/11, Ryanair actually bought 100 new Boeing 737, not Maxes, just Boeing 737s. And obviously, that's at a huge discount. Let me know in the comments section below, would you go on a Boeing 737 Max on holiday? And the last thing we're going to talk about is the very recent United 238 flight to Hawaii, which took off from Denver Airport. The aircraft itself was a 26-year-old Boeing 777-200. Despite the main fuselage of the aircraft was about 26 years old, the engines are never this old. They are always updated and changed on a regular basis. Despite the engines being constantly checked over and renewed, in this case, unfortunately, one of the fan blades broke off, as you can see in this clip, and as a result went through the engine, ripping up everything inside. The flames that you can see are probably from the fuel pipes that have been punctured by shrapnel, and you can see the shaking of the engine due to the imbalance of the fans. This incident is very similar to how Rolls-Royce tests the safety of its engines, as you can see here. Despite the engine's inlet falling off and landing in someone's front garden, the engine was shut off and it remained whole. The worst case scenario would be if the engine actually blows up, but the engines are actually designed to contain all the shrapnel within the actual engine itself. If you want a much more in-depth video about this incident, go check out Captain Joe's video. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something new in the aviation news. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like, leave a comment below and subscribe. Thanks for watching.